In this video, I'll be looking at two Halal REIT ETFs, which is basically an ETF that invests into a wide range of real estate investment trust companies, or REITs for short. REITs are companies that own many types of commercial real estate, including office and apartment buildings, warehouses, hospitals, shopping centres and hotels. This is a great way to get exposure into the real estate industry without the stress of actually owning and managing it yourself. ETFs are also diversified, which means they are less risky than picking individual REIT companies. The REIT ETFs I'll be looking at in this video claim to be permissible to invest in. I will not be saying whether I think it's halal or not to invest in. You will need to speak to someone of knowledge for this. I am just looking at it from an investment perspective. One of the ETFs is a popular one based in the US, and the other ETF is available to invest in the UK, so do make sure you stick around for the whole video to get an insight into both. I will also be leaving timestamps in the description if you wanted to skip to the relevant ETF or area. The first ETF I will be looking at is the SP Fund REIT Sharia ETF, ticker symbol SPRE. The ETF's expense ratio is 0.69%. It also pays out a dividend with a dividend yield of 4.02%. This is a list of their top 10 holdings. I believe there is a total of 35 holdings for the ETF in total, which seems like a low amount but isn't too bad considering it's a thematic ETF in the sense that it is concentrated on REITs. These types of ETF tend to have less holdings than global ones. I will quickly go over some of the holdings. But the great thing about ETFs is that you do not need to know about every single company it holds, because you know that you are getting exposure to the whole industry. Also, it is difficult to pick individual winners because, for example, you have Crown Castle, which has fallen 18% in a year, but Prologis is up 13%. Crown Castle is the biggest holding. They provide communications infrastructure solutions. It is 13% of the total portfolio, which is decent allocation. The second biggest holding is Prologis. They are involved in industrial units and properties for rent in the UK. Then you also have other holdings such as Public Storage, which is a self-storage company. I won't go over every individual company, but you get the idea that it is a well-diversified ETF as you have different types of REITs based in different industries. I'll leave a link of what you can see on your screen so you can look into the individual companies in your own time. Overall, the weightings are pretty decent for this type of ETF. In terms of geographical location, the majority of holdings are based in the US. In terms of its performance over the past year, it is up 4%. So it did drop from the start of 2023. It did see a long period of decline of around 24%, 25% over the period. But since October, it seems to have increased and it seems to be on the rise again. So it's risen over 22% just over the past few months. So if we go to the past 6 months, we can see it's up 2.3%. And the past 1 month, it's up 11%. And if we look from a total perspective over 5 years, so this actually started in 2020. So since 2020, since the beginning of the ETF, it's down 1.48%. Also compared this ETF to VNQ, which is what you can see on this chart. So VNQ is an alternative real estate ETF, but obviously it's not halal. So I'm not sure if it's permissible to invest in. But on here you can see the 3 month chart. So in the black line you have the performance of the Halal ETF, which is SPRE, and then on the blue line you have the performance of VNQ, which is the alternative ETF. So as you can see over the past 3 months, although the pattern seems to have been similar, VNQ has outperformed, but it's not by a huge margin, it's only a couple of percent. And if we go over a 6 month period, we can see again it has followed a similar pattern in terms of the peaks and troughs of the performance, but overall at the end of the 6 months it seems that V&Q has overperformed by a bigger margin. And if we go and finally look over a 1 year period, we can see again it is following a similar pattern to V&Q, and overall it has underperformed. But if you look at it over 1 year, you can see the gap is a lot less than it was over 6 months. So I think it's just over 1% difference here over the past 1 year. The next ETF I'll be looking at is the HSBC Islamic REIT ETF. The ticker symbol is HINS. I believe this is available in the UK and currently is only on the AJ Bell platform. However, this may change in the future as it is introduced to other platforms. Also note that this is an accumulating ETF, which means it does not pay out a dividend. Instead, it automatically reinvests its dividend back into the ETF. This is a list of their top 10 holdings. As you can see, they have similar companies as we saw in the previous ETF. However, Prologis has a much higher weighting. That probably makes sense as this is a UK based ETF and Prologis is heavily exposed to the UK market. It does still seem quite high though for a single company as it's 20%. The rest of the weightings are pretty decent. And like I said previously, you don't need to know about every single company because the aim is to get exposure to the whole industry. However, it does make sense to get a good understanding of the industry and some of the companies so you can understand the fluctuations in the share price. This ETF is also more diversified in terms of geographical location. The majority of it is still based in the US, but there is more exposure to other areas like the UK and even Japan. In terms of the share price performance, there isn't much data as I believe the ETF has only recently started in September. So you can see over the past 3 months since the start of the ETF, it's gone up over 6%, and over the past 1 month it's gone up over 9%. So that was just a quick overview of 2 Halal REIT ETFs that I've come across. They both are very similar. The main thing is that they have generally performed with the industry average. So if you are looking to get exposure to the real estate industry, it's a good way to do so. But remember, none of this is financial advice, so always do your own due diligence. I've left the links in the description for you to check them out in your own time. Also, do check out my other videos on ETFs. If there are any others you know of, do let me know in the comments below and I can take a look at them. Let me know if you enjoyed the video, and if you're still here, I would appreciate if you could like and subscribe for more content like this.